I want to introduce my friend William. He is an amazing man. He was a professional baseball player, and I'm excited to hear his ASEA story as far as health. But also, this man, he wears so many hats. He has a garden center. He has a wellness center. And in his spare time, he is building one of the largest building projects in Sandpoint for low-income housing. And he runs an international ASEA business. He is a trainer. He is a coach. He's just a wonderful friend. And William, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Wow, Marion, that's an amazing introduction. Thank you. Not sure I deserve all that, but you're very kind. Let me ask the first question. How much time do I have, or would you like me to use?
I'm thinking 15, 20 minutes. We want to have
Okay.
testimony and where you think ASEA is going and vision.
Sure,
So,
sure.
yeah.
I'll keep it a little shorter than that, so we make sure Marcia has enough time to speak and anyone else. So thanks. Like Marion said, I live up in Sandpoint, Idaho. I've been involved with ASEA and this amazing family and this incredible project for more than 8 years. I guess I'll start by saying I remember what my life was like all those years ago. I spent, after doing too many crazy things with my body, I paid the price later on. And when I started to pay the price, it got to the point where I could no longer lift my arm to put it on the steering wheel. I was a pitcher when I played ball, and I could no longer really walk very well. I spent about 5 years trying to find alternatives to anything radical like major surgeries. And, a few things helped for a little while, but only a little. But really, my life had reached a point to where I lost the quality of life. I remember one of my favorite things to do was to go hiking in the mountains with my son, and I couldn't do that anymore. In fact, it affected the relationship with my children. My inability to really move around well affected my relationship with my wife. And I can tell you, I really was almost to the point of giving up, and really wanted to do everything I could to, get my quality of life back. So I had surgery, 2 different surgeries a week apart, two different surgeons. The guy that worked on my shoulder was one of the top guys in the country working on shoulders like mine, and he did a great job. My shoulder was fine after that. I also had surgery on my hip, again, about the same time, and it didn't work. It provided no benefit for me whatsoever. They thought it might give me another 5 or 8 years before I'd have to have entire hip replacement. So I spent about another year and a half trying to find anything and everything I could do to avoid a hip replacement. I looked at stem cells. I tried injections, and it just, stem cells weren't quite there yet. They're still not on that particular joint, and the injections were just a short-lived few days worth of being able to move and not have complete pain. So I eventually decided that I would give up and sign up to get a new hip. Thankfully, 2 weeks before that surgery was already scheduled, I'd gone through my pre-op work. I met an amazing 2 gentlemen, Jerry White, and Marcia, his wife, is on with us, and Dr. Richard Walker. And I just happened to be at a place where they were at in Spokane at some kind of an event. And I learned about ASEA actually for the second time. The first time 7 months earlier from a friend, and I completely discounted it. But now I have an MD and a researcher telling me about this new science in a way that really kind of blew my mind. Ultimately, what they suggested was that I postpone my hip replacement just long enough to give it a good 90-day trial. It seemed like a good idea to me. I'd never heard of the science. It made no sense to me, but it was pretty easy to understand that it couldn't harm me in any way. It was safe and didn't contradict with anything else I might be doing. So I decided, what the heck? I called my surgeon, postponed it. He thought I was completely nuts. And he says, "You'll be calling me back." I said, "Well, just 90 days and we'll see." And so I started drinking 8 ounces a day, and I was waiting. In fact, somebody called me, a gal named Cheryl, who ended up being a really good friend of mine. I didn't know her at the time, and asked me a month in what I thought. And I said, I haven't noticed anything, related to my hip. That's the only thing I really cared about. I did notice, which I didn't share with her, that I had a lot more energy. Mental clarity was off the charts. I was sleeping better than I had in a lot of years, but that's not why I wanted to use ASEA. And so for me, it was 62 days to the day. On that 62nd day, I woke up, and it pretty much blew my mind. It took me a number of days to realize that it's better, right? It's not just a temporary thing. So guys, after that, shortly thereafter, I realized I got my life back. I could go hiking with my son again. I could do all the things I love to do, golf and bike and what have you. Uh, the relationship I had with my wife improved dramatically. I could take the garbage out to the garbage can and not worry about it. And literally I could start running again. I picked up all the mobility I'd lost. It kind of blew me away. I remember one day saying to my wife, Kathy, I said, "Do you think it's the stuff?" I had no idea that it could, I really thought anyone that has a joint issue needs to know about this stuff, right? And boy, did I learn later when I started giving it to other family members and friends that it wasn't just for joints. It was for anything anyone has going on. And as I sit before you today, I've helped many hundreds, probably thousands of people discover this technology. It's pretty rare in life that we have an opportunity. Probably I think the biggest challenge for all of us is to sort of weed through everything that we see in the world, right? Because everything seems to be a breakthrough this and a breakthrough that. When I started digging into the research of this, I realized that it was 25 years in the making, right? Studied and worked with at top universities like Harvard, Stanford, UCLA, and many others. And top researchers were saying this could be the future of healthcare, right? And literally what we have our hands on, and our job, and I think my job here on this earth, is to make a difference in people's lives. And so it's to help people understand that the power of healing, right, has changed. There's a new way and a new discovery that changes everything. I mean, literally everything, right? I remember Dr. Samuelson saying, we have to spread this technology as far and wide and as fast as possible. He's the atomic medical physicist that sort of figured out the stabilization. Guys, this is a legacy discovery that will help all of us. It has arrived at a certainly challenging time in our world. I don't think by any accident. If we think about the things that are happening in the world and the toxins in our environment and our food and everything else, our bodies are breaking down because our cells are breaking down. And even at the genetic level, our gene signaling is being compromised. These breakdowns in our bodies are signaling processes that lead to and are the cause of most health issues. It's a technology that is hard to believe, right? It's a technology that in a lot of ways still belongs to tomorrow. I still hear comments where people say it's 10 or maybe even 15 years still ahead of its time, but it's here, and it's creating shifts, big shifts in the human body that allows the body to heal itself like we've never seen before. And to be able to push genetic buttons in the body, and the chemistry is responding in a healthy and beautiful way, right? This material reminds our cells how to work and the way they did when we were a lot younger. And we can now say that our biology is no longer our biography. That's not me that said that. It was Anne Louise Gettleman, a PhD that lives very near all of us, probably in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. So listen, as I wrap up here, this is it's a new paradigm. It's something that everybody absolutely needs to know about. I was in a conversation just a couple of days with someone that reached out to over 100 people in just a few days. And I was so proud of her. She was a little discouraged because she says, there was only one or two people that were interested. And I said, that's not the point. The point is to let people know this exists. That's our job. We're not here to sell anything or convince anyone of anything, because if that was what it was, I wouldn't be doing it. It's strictly to let people know that this exists, and then they can decide for themselves. So I'll be happy to answer any questions. And Marion, I'll kick it back to you.
Thank you. I just love to be a student under you and just listen as you as a businessman and a person who's experienced this personally. Are there any questions for William?
And you have to understand, in the 8 years I've been involved, I mentioned hundreds, probably more, like many, many thousands of people. So I've seen a lot of things, right? I've personally witnessed this save people. I've personally witnessed it change people's lives in ways that were unimaginable, right? Where people had lost all hope. There was no hope. So my belief in this technology is over the top. It's over the top because there's really no one that this won't benefit. In fact, my granddaughter's visiting tonight. She's almost 4. She's been on it with her mom before she was born, and she gets her to see it every day. So our entire family's on it. Our pets are on it. Darlene, thanks for your wonderful introduction and sharing their story about what you're doing. And really exciting.
So, William, did you stay at 8 ounces all this time?
I did, yeah. Now, let me just preface this by saying, guys, if I'm going to go get on an airplane, I'll start doing 16 ounces a day, 3 or 4 days before I get on that plane. And if I'm traveling, I'm staying in hotels and stuff, I take more than 8, between 12 and 16 while I'm out, right? If I notice some of our staff might be coming down with colds, or occasionally the flu shows up, right? And other interesting things, we will double up. Kathy and I will double up. We'll do 16. So we sort of fluctuate, but mostly we do 8 ounces a day.